guests for today are Filipino-American artist and illustrator DJ Javier, with his father Oliver Javier, who migrated to the US in the 1980s. Let's get to know more about them in this episode. Hi DJ and Daddy Oliver, welcome to A Stronger Together, the GMA Pinoy TV podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Hi, good morning.
A global brand reached out to you, correct? And how did you get into the project?
One of their team members on the design team actually followed me on Instagram and saw my work. And then he had passed it along to everybody else on the team. And so when they had reached out, they actually presented the project to me. And so it wasn't like a contest or like an entry. It truly was like, hey, we really love your work and we want to work together. And then, the brief for the project was totally open-ended. And so from there, just create this collection that, is, honoring of my heritage, my culture, my family, my people. And so it's been really exciting to see just the warmth and reception from Filipino people here in the US and across the world, obviously back home.
Daddy Oliver, nung narinig mo na nakuha na ni DJ yung project, ano naman yung naramdaman mo?
Hindi nga niya sinasabi sa amin eh.
Ganun ba yun? Secret pa pala?
Secret na wala nakakalam. Sinabi lang niya, meron siyang big project. Then it's gonna come out in July.
Before that, aware na kayo sa mga designs at mga ginagawa ni DJ?
Oo. Ang dami na yung mga talagang major companies in the US. Yung malalaking mural sa mga universities, school, na-invite siya magbigay ng mga speech. Kasi ako nasa sa construction industry ako eh. Meron ako sariling business, telecommunication. So, sabi ko sa kanya, ikaw lang ang nag-iisa kong anak na lalaki. Kasi I have four kids, 3 daughters and siya ang youngest. Sabi ko, ikaw na lang magpatuloy ng aking business. Nag-try siya siguro mga 1 month. Pag kailangan ko ang katulong kasi sasama ko siya na this is not for me then. So I have my own plan. So I said, sige, kung ano yung gusto mo, I'll just support you.
Was it part of the deal that you will create designs inspired by Filipino culture?
They truly approached me and they had said, what do you want to do? And so at first, I put together the presentation and the concept and all the imagery and the sketches. And I thought, I don't know if they're going to want to do this because it might not be super familiar to them. But after I presented it, they said, they all together were like, of course we have to do this. This is so exciting and so awesome. And they're fully behind it. And so, which was really exciting to work with, this global brand and have them see my work and then also just see this very specific concept that who knows, maybe their demographic might not fully wrap their head around it. But then obviously they put faith and trust in it and then it came out and it sold out in 5-6 days. And I was able to get, pairs for my whole family. I think it was exciting and it was probably cool for them to see that oh my gosh, the Filipino community at large, they all came to ultimately support, but ultimately sell out this collaboration.
What was the inspiration behind your designs?
So there's 3 silhouettes in the whole collection. So 2 of them have already sold out. One is actually delayed and will be coming out later this summer. And so for people who missed the opportunity, there's still 1 more pair of shoes that are going to come out. And so really, I thought through what symbolism and what subject matter and what motifs would represent Filipino culture well. From obviously the carabao and the sampaguita and the Philippines checkered flag on the sides of it, and so I was thinking of different design elements that I thought maybe someone who's not Filipino at all might walk into a store and go, that's a really cool shoe, but then someone who is Filipino or half Filipino or just any sort of Filipino descendant could see that and say wait, I recognize all of those symbols. Whether, it's a young person like me or, my dad or whoever it is, I wanted to make something that people could recognize.
What's your favorite design? Do you have a favorite?
I don't think so. It's hard. I think I genuinely, as I worked on them all, I really thought I think in my head as I was working on it, I was what would I want to wear? Because at the end of the day, I could design anything, but that doesn't mean that I would necessarily, from a fashion standpoint, want to wear the shoes. And so I think I really do love them all, but I mean, I might be slightly biased because they are like my babies pretty much.
Si Daddy na lang ang tatanungin ko. Daddy, do you have a favorite design? Or do you like them all?
I love them all. He got me a free the high cut, but I want all of them as my collection. So I bought the other one through through the internet. I like the high cut, so it represents like the older generations. I don't think I'm gonna wear it, to be honest with you.
But syempre, there's a sense of Filipino pride pa rin. And syempre, gawa ni DJ yung design.
Yes. I have my brother in the Philippines. He called me one time and said, "Hey, Kuya, I couldn't find any more. It's sold out." So I said, can you get me a pair in from the US? So because sure, can you have the sign on it? Have it. I said, okay, if he's gonna autograph the shoes, I don't think you're gonna be wearing it. He said, yeah, I'm just gonna put it in my escaparate. That's how family supported DJ.
DJ, how would you describe your style?
I think, for me, especially with this collection that I worked on, it's definitely like a culmination of a lot of things. I'm Filipino, and so the traditions and the practices that we would have at home are very traditional to like Filipino culture, and the things we would do, and like even like the TV we would watch and like the food we ate. But at the same time, I think growing up, especially in Southern California, I was definitely influenced a lot by the music that I listened to and like art, and whether it was, skateboarding or like surfing culture. And so that's why if you look at the collection, like, yes, there are Filipino subject matters and like motifs to the design, but it's executed through me growing up in Southern California, and so that's why it has a little bit of like a street kind of like aesthetic or culture to it. And so I think a lot of my work has that. It's like a culmination of those things, and so which is cool because I think there's a lot of Filipino Americans who grew up very similar to me. If they had very traditional values and they were tapped into their heritage and culture.
What's the most rewarding part about your work?
I think being able to just do it for a living and to be able to support my family. And obviously as my dad had mentioned, like, he had dreams of me taking over the family business, but it's cool to, I've seen the work ethic that my dad has put in since he's come here from the Philippines. And to, maybe I didn't follow the same path, but apply that same work ethic of, okay, it might not be in like the contracting or construction business, but applying that same like focus and just drive with my own path, and so being able to do that and make my family proud and not letting this opportunity go to waste. My dad coming here from the Philippines, and for me to not try, and so for me, it's like everything I do, it's like, I'm going to give it my best effort because that's what my dad did, with his career and bringing his family here.
Si Daddy naman, what made you decide to migrate to the US?
I graduated from UST in 1978. My first job was in a bank. And I already had kids, and I didn't think that I was going anywhere. So I decided, okay, maybe I'll just try to work abroad. So the first one, I went to Saudi Arabia. I worked there as an accountant in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. And then after 8 years, my contract was finished. My American employer offered me a job in the States. If you want to work in the States, I can bring a family. Of course, I took it. That's what made me migrate to the States.
After mong mag-graduate, talagang nag-work ka na abroad, ano?
I went to Saudi Arabia in 81. From Saudi, I moved to the States in 87.
What were some of the challenges you had to face when you first arrived in a foreign country?
Just like what they say, fresh off the boat. It's not simple because I didn't have any relatives, nobody. So it was hard. I experienced some difficulties, mingling with the local folks. I guess just keep on going. I just kept on pushing and until I became accustomed to the work. I met a lot of good people. It wasn't an easy way. They shut their door. I was unemployed. I have 4 kids to support. And at that time I didn't have any other resource. I said I have some savings at the time, so I bought 2 cars. One is for my brother-in-law and one is for me. After a year, my old company said, "Hey, we're gonna start up again. So I'm gonna need you. So I said, okay, anytime. I flew back to California to start a new company. I went through ups and downs. Like I said, if you have family here, you can't just say, sit down and wait for something to happen. You have to go after it.
Pero Daddy Oliver, nung mga panahon na yon, during those challenging times, naisip mo bang bumalik ulit sa Pilipinas? O talagang lalaban ka?
No, lalaban ako. Kasi I'm already here. Here in the States, you have every opportunity to succeed. It's up to you. If you just say, oh, I give up because, I cannot take it anymore. I mean, you're not a fight. You have to fight for it. I can't imagine my life would be if I backed out then at the time and say, I give up. All the opportunities are here. It's up to you to knock on every door and see what's there for you. That's what I did. So I never give up.
DJ, were you aware? Were you and your siblings aware of how your father fought through everything just to provide for your family?
I think at the time being young, it's like you don't really notice how hard your parents work for you. I think even now I have a 1-year-old son named Duke. For me now on the other side, I'm like, oh, I understand. At the end of the day, it's like I want to give my son the world, and he might not notice that there are times where it's really hard. And so I think for me now that I'm adult, I can look back and see everything that my mom and dad did for us. That was like, oh, that wasn't easy. You literally had to sacrifice a lot or put yourselves in an uncomfortable position or put us first before you. And so I think being older now, and especially having a son, it's like I can see all the work that had to go into this.
Kapuso, subscribe to GMA Pinoy TV and feel closer to home with our all-time favorite shows. Itbulaga, Bubble Gang, 24 Oras, and Kapuso Mo Jessica Soho. You can also enjoy award-winning news programs, documentaries, lifestyle shows, and many more on GMA Live TV and GMA News TV. GMA channels are available in the U.S. through various pay TV providers. To know more, visit gmapinoytv.com/subscribe or follow us at GMA Pinoy TV on social media. The past 2 years had been the time we spent making, baking, planting, renovating, laughing, adding, and trying. But no matter what life throws at us, there will always be something to lift our spirits and give us sparks of hope. We invite you to tell us your stories with shots and snippets of the things that helped you survive this pandemic. Send your snapshots and stories to PinoyInbox@gmanetwork.com and we'll feature them on our newest inspirational segment, Pockets of Hope, on GMA Pinoy TV.
How did Daddy Oliver make sure his kids retain their Filipino values? And how did DJ deal with adversity growing up?
Daddy Oliver, how did you raise your kids and how did you make sure that your kids would still have Filipino values?
When you're living in a place where there's not much Filipino, it's hard for me to tell my kids, try to speak our language, Filipino language. I mean, we may be talking at the house in Filipino, but once they're out of the house, they'll be with the friends and they will forget about it. We made sure that we always go back to the Philippines and introduce where we came from. We introduced them to the culture, the Filipino foods. DJ, he was born here but couldn't even speak any Filipino. Siguro pag pinapagalitan ko, naiintindihan niya ako. Pero yung mga ibang salita, talagang, what? Hindi kami magkaintindihan.
Nakakauwi pa po kayo dito sa Pilipinas? Like, do you get to visit the Philippines with the whole family?
Yeah. Every other 2 years na umuwi kami.
So before the pandemic, before the lockdown, you were able to...
Oh yeah, before the pandemic, yeah. We're from Laguna. We're from San Pablo City. Noong buhay pa mga parents ko, at least nakikita nila ang mga grandparents nila before they passed.
Ang mga lolo at lola.
Yung mga kanilang mga tiyo-tiya, yung mga relatives there.
DJ, what's your favorite Filipino food?
I mean, every time we go to any Filipino restaurant, my dad always orders crispy pata, which is funny because every time he goes, he tells them, hey, can you make sure it's crispy? And the guy's like, it's in the name, like it's going to be crispy. Yeah, I don't know. He's just but I think probably, that's just like whenever our family's together and we eat out to a Filipino restaurant, I know that like everyone's blood pressure is going to go up because we're eating sisig and crispy pata. But yeah, probably that.
But DJ, how was it like growing up as a Filipino in your area? What was your childhood like? Were there a lot of Filipino kids or Asian kids?
To be honest, there wasn't many here. I mean, in Santa Barbara, when I went to high school, it's like I probably was the only maybe like 3 or 4 Filipino students at a school of maybe like 2,000 students. It was tough growing up. And I think I can see, you know, for my parents, them wanting us to embrace, you know, our culture and our tradition. And then, you know, simple things like if I'd go to school and I would talk about like, you know, my nanay lives with us, or like my mom would pack a certain snack. My classmates would always be like, what are you eating? Or like they wouldn't understand. And so for me, I think for the longest time growing up, I was so embarrassed of my culture because I didn't have anyone like my age or my peers to relate to. And so I think for the longest time, I had a hard time with it, feeling different. And I think it wasn't until I grew older and I began to look back and became more introspective about growing up that, you know, like my culture is so rich. It's so beautiful. Like there's so much story, there's so much heritage, there's so much to celebrate. Yeah, I think I look back and I'm sad that I wasn't able to embrace those things. And I think it's because I was met with like resistance, or people would misunderstand or not, you know, fully be able to wrap their mind around like the food I ate or the culture or my family practices at home. And a lot of the time that would just translate into racism, you know. And so I think being able now, especially with this project, to do something that's like, there's no other big opportunity that, you know, than this for me as of right now to like celebrate my culture on such like a big platform, especially within footwear. And so being able to do this was really special. And it was very full circle to go from growing up and feeling ashamed of my culture to now like on a global scale, celebrating my culture.
You talked about racism. So how did you handle it when you were younger?
I mean, there's this like stereotype within the US that like Asian people are submissive, you know, and you can kind of like say whatever you want to them and kind of steamroll over them. And I think I fed into that fear a lot, that like, oh, well, just, it's okay. They can just make the joke. And I think as I got older, especially like post high school, I began to like put it together like, no, that's not okay. And if someone's going to say something like that, like I'm not going to let them. And so, yeah, like I said, going back to this project, I think it was awesome to be able to take my culture that I thought that people had made fun of growing up and that I was embarrassed by, and truly like plant like a big flag for it and, you know, create something that there are so many people. I've received so many messages on Instagram, especially of different Filipino people across the US and across the world saying like, this is awesome. Like, this is such a cool moment for our people. And so I'm just honored to be able to do that and to take this opportunity and create something that a lot of people can rally behind.
Is that also one of the reasons why you got into drawing?
Totally. It's hard for me to like talk about or like get my words out about like what I'm feeling or what I'm trying to say. And so a lot of the times for me, it comes through via the channel of art, whether it's graphic design or painting or whatever it is. I think it's an opportunity for me to like say something without using words. And it's something that it's almost like art is like its own language that anyone can really speak. And so if I, you know, were to take one of my paintings that had very overt like Filipino messaging and themes, and I were to show it to someone who didn't speak any English, they might see it and be like, wait, that's like our culture. And, you know, it's an opportunity to like build a bridge and connect with people.
DJ, as an artist and illustrator, did you deal with a lot of rejections also?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, there were so many moments where, you know, talking to a client about a potential project, and I told him how much it would be, and he just told me I would never pay you that much. And there's many moments where like no one would answer my emails, or I'd try to work with someone and they would say no. And then, I mean, there's like so many failures that led to victories within my work. There's a lot of hard work and resistance that comes along the way. But I think those moments of resistance make the victories even sweeter.
So how did you push yourself to keep going?
I think one thing I've always told myself since I've been in my creative career is that there is no plan B. I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it work. And so I just kind of put that in my head and applied it with everything I do, that there's no other plan for me. Like, this is going to be the plan and I'm going to execute it, even if it's a little bumpy along the way.
GMA Pinoy TV Stronger Together music is now available worldwide. Streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and other digital platforms.
You can now use the Stronger Together stickers in your group chats, messages, and stories. Just search Stronger Together on Viber, Telegram, and Instagram stories. For more details, visit GMA Pinoy TV's social media accounts. Download now, Kapuso!
Welcome back! DJ shares how he convinced his father in pursuing a career as an artist.
DJ, in one of your posts, you said that your dad had inhibitions about you being an artist at first. So how did you handle that, and how did you prove to your dad that, you're gonna make this work?
I mean, growing up, it's like, I think my parents probably wanted me to be something different than an artist, maybe. Like I said, it's like I saw how hard my dad worked, and I felt like I had an obligation to show him, like, I saw how hard you worked, and I'm going to apply that just as hard with my own profession, and I'm going to make it work. And so it's been cool because, like, they've been able to see and celebrate my work as well. So it's been cool to kind of like learn from him and what he did for our family and apply it through my own lens.
Daddy Oliver, so bakit nung umpisa meron kayong konting agam-agam? Bakit may konting resistance kayo sa pagiging artist ni DJ?
Siyempre gusto ko may mag-continue ng business ko. Wala yung mga babae siyempre hindi naman, they're not into it. So I'm trying to mold DJ to say, hey, this is what I do, this is how we made our living. So
Uniko-iho pa di ba, Daddy?
Oo.
Uniko-iho kaya.
High school pa siya. Talaga sinasama ko siya sa mga work ko. Sabi ko itong ginagawa kong work, ganyan. So wala talaga. He never showed any interest. I guess at the time yung kanyang mind meron na siyang tunnel vision na I'm gonna do this, and this is gonna be me. I see myself as an artist, not as a construction guy.
What is your reaction now to your son's success?
Oh, I'm really proud of him. Siyempre, una, hindi naman lahat ng tao nagiging successful being artist. You have to be really good to be successful in that field. You have to be extra special. Sinabi ko sa sarili ko, maybe he made his right decision. So I just said, okay, whatever your plan, I'm going to support you.
And that's what I'm extremely grateful for, is they've all just like rallied behind my work, and they've seen the effort that I've put in, and even like, the release of this collection, it's like my family's group chat, like they were putting it in every single Facebook group. They were sending it to every news source. It's almost like they were like my own PR team.
What does it mean for you to represent your culture and be their voice?
For me, with all of the work that I do, I just always try to find a way to show the younger version of me out there that there's opportunity for you, and it's not impossible. It's totally achievable. Like, I mean, for my whole creative career, I didn't know anyone who like gave me a shortcut or gave me an in somewhere. It truly was like, I just have to figure out how to make it work. I have to, maybe there were many times where the door of opportunity was locked, and I said, I just have to kick down the door because no one's going to open it for me. And so my hopes with my creative career and my journey is that it's carving the path even more, and it's just widening the road so more young Filipino creatives can follow suit and maybe not experience as much difficulty as my dad or like I did, making it something where it's like they clearly have a seat at the table and there's clearly space for them and an opportunity for them to be heard and listened to. And so I think whenever I can, whether it's through my partnerships with different brands or on my own, or even just me as like a Filipino American graphic designer and artist, to show the younger generation or the 13-year-old version of me out there that this is your opportunity too. So that's a big goal of mine.
Daddy Oliver, ano naman ang tips mo sa mga Pinoy who are trying to make it abroad, for better career opportunities?
All I can say is living abroad is not that easy. You have to fight for it. There's a lot of competition, especially in the States. Filipinos are hardworking people. They're not going to say no. If one owner says, can you do it? Of course, Filipinos will not say, no, I can't do it. Regardless of what it is, they're going to say, yes, I can do it. That's the mentality that you have to have here. You have to have, strong feeling of what you're doing. And of course, hard work and, sharpen your pencil, make sure you're up to it with sacrifices and everything. I mean, we can overcome it. I did. You have to be really, sincere about what you're doing and be ready for the competition.
Patibay ng loob, Daddy Oliver, ano?
Patibay ng loob, yes. But first you don't succeed, just keep on trying. Try and try again until you succeed. That's the Filipino way, right?
Message naman po kay DJ.
Just keep doing what you've been doing. I mean, you're gonna be successful with that, and family is behind him all the way. He's been a good son. As a matter of fact, he's my favorite son.
Because he's the only one.
He's my only son, yeah. Yeah, but he's been great. I think we raised a good person who believes in God, and who believes in family.
For DJ, what is your message to aspiring artists who would want to follow your footsteps?
I think it's continuing to pursue what you're doing and staying headstrong. For those who want to pursue a creative career, just know that it's attainable. It's not impossible. The road to it isn't easy. It's bumpy for sure, and there's going to be a lot of slamming of doors and opportunities closing, but those hardships make the victories and the success even more sweeter.
And what is your message to your dad and to the rest of your family?
I'm grateful and thankful for all their support. I felt like growing up, I didn't really have much vision or direction. And so it was probably hard to see at the time, me being the youngest, saying I don't really know what DJ is going to do when he gets older. And so, but I saw that they believed in me and that they supported me. And obviously my dad was instrumental in all of these things, even though we're on different career paths. There's a ton of total similarity at the same time when it boils down to work ethic and passion and drive and wanting to support our family and encourage our people. And so there's a lot of similarities in that way, which I obviously owe to my dad especially.
Thank you so much, Daddy Oliver, for sharing your story with us. And DJ, thank you for representing our culture, representing the country, and mabuhay po kayo.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
Stronger Together, the GMA Pinoy TV podcast, is an original production of GMA International. This episode is produced by Gerald Vista and edited by Anton Taginod.